Picture this. You're staring at your super balance thinking about a home deposit, and someone tells you there's a way to save part of that deposit inside super and pay way less tax. It sounds too good, so most people either misunderstand it or get scared off entirely. If that's you, that's completely normal because the government never really explains it clearly. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what the First Home Super Saver scheme does for you, what it doesn't, and the precise steps to use it properly. Here's the number that matters to you. The scheme lets you withdraw up to $50,000 of eligible voluntary super contributions you've made since the 1st of July 2017, plus the earnings on top, according to the ATO. But there's a limit. You can only count $15,000 per financial year toward it, so you can't just dump it all in at once. Which raises the question most people get wrong next. What actually counts as an eligible contribution? Before you do anything, you need to understand the boundaries. And if this trips you up, you're in good company, because it's the number one thing people misread. The ATO is clear that FHSS only counts personal voluntary contributions, so the super your employer already pays you, and any spouse contributions can't be touched. And here's the part that surprises people most. When you withdraw, you get 85% of your eligible before tax contributions back, plus deemed earnings, not the full dollar amount you put in. This is why it's worth the effort. And let me run it 3 ways so you can see yourself in the numbers. If you're on the lower end, say $50,000, your marginal rate is around 32.5%. So the gap over super's 15% still saves you real money. If you're in the middle on $80,000, your marginal rate is around 34.5% including Medicare. And that 19.5 point gap on $15,000 a year works out to roughly $11,700, saved across 4 years, according to ATO modelling. And if you're on $140,000 or more, the gap widens again, and the savings get even bigger. Your first move is simply finding out what you can release. Log into MyGov, link your ATO account if you haven't already, then go to Super and select First Home Super Saver Scheme and request a determination. The ATO works out your maximum releasable amount based on your eligible contributions, up to $15,000 a year and $50,000 total. It costs you nothing and takes about 10 minutes, so there's genuinely no reason not to check. When your determination comes back, compare your numbers to the caps. If you've been putting money in consistently, it should sit close to the $15,000 annual and $50,000 lifetime limits the ATO sets. If yours is much lower than that, don't be discouraged. That's just a signal you've got room to grow it, and it tells you exactly how much more deliberate you can be. But here's where it gets interesting, because how you top it up matters more than most people realize. Your second move is setting up the contributions. Log into your super fund and check your year-to-date concessional contributions, because that already includes what your employer pays in. Subtract that from the $27,500 concessional cap to see how much headroom you've got, then ask your payroll team to salary sacrifice up to $15,000 a year toward FHSS, staying inside that overall cap. Now, I want to be upfront with you. This only works cleanly if you've got enough room under that cap, so let me show you the ceiling you have to fit under. This is the cap that trips people up most, so pay attention here. The ATO sets a total concessional contributions cap of $27,500 a year, and that includes both your employer super guarantee and any salary sacrifice you add. If you push past it, you trigger extra tax and charges, which defeats the whole point. So your FHSS contributions have to fit underneath that ceiling, not sit on top of it. Do the subtraction first every time. Your third move is timing, and this is where a lot of people slip up. When you're ready to buy, submit a request to release your FHSS amount through ATO online services, and crucially, do this before you sign a contract. Note the timelines the ATO gives you to sign a contract to buy or build, and coordinate with your broker and conveyancer so the release funds actually land before settlement. Get the order wrong and you can lose access, so treat this as step 1 of your buying process, not an afterthought. Here's one condition that catches investors off guard, and I should say it plainly. If you're planning to rent this place out from day 1, FHSS isn't for you. The ATO requires you to actually live in the property you buy with FHSS funds for at least 6 months within the first 12 months of purchase or completion. It's strictly an owner-occupier scheme. So if this is your first home you're moving into, you're fine. But if it's an investment play, you'll need a different strategy. And here's the multiplier most people completely miss. The FHSS caps are per person, not per property. So if you and a partner both qualify, you can each release up to $50,000 and pool $100,000 together. On a $700,000 home with a $140,000 deposit, that covers around 71% of the deposit between the two of you. That's the difference between saving for years longer and buying now. But it comes with a reality check I want you to hear next. The biggest mistake people make is treating FHSS as their entire deposit. A 20% deposit on a $700,000 metro home is $140,000. But as a single buyer, FHSS gives you at most $50,000 in contributions. That means you'd still need roughly $90,000 from other savings. So think of FHSS as a powerful top-up that fast-tracks you, not a complete solution. Keep your savings outside super going in parallel. The second mistake is the double tax fear, and this one stops people cold, so let me clear it up. Yes, your FHSS release gets added to your assessable income, but the ATO applies a 30% FHSS tax offset to that amount. So if your marginal rate is 34.5%, the effective extra tax you actually pay on release is only about 4.5%. That's nowhere near the big slug most people imagine, and it shouldn't put you off using the scheme. Let's pull it together fast so you've got the whole thing in one place. Request your determination in MyGov. Set up salary sacrifice up to $15,000 a year while staying under the $27,500 cap. And request your release before you sign a contract. And remember the limits. $50,000 max per person. You get back 85% of before tax contributions. And you have to live in the home for 6 months within the first year. If you've made it this far, you now understand FHSS better than most first home buyers ever will. So here's your one action for today. If you're even thinking about buying in the next few years, log into MyGov and request your FHSS determination this week. It takes 10 minutes and tells you exactly where you stand. If you want to go deeper, the next thing to understand is the first home guarantee and how it stacks alongside FHSS. That's exactly what we cover next. I'm Alex. I'll see you there.